right? Books are great. See, here's my collection right now. Books are great. Love them. Let me see them. See, books, cool, right? This one, haven't read yet. Not gonna bullshit you, haven't read it yet. Okay. This book, read it a lot of times. Great. Atomic Habits, I took off the cover, read it a lot of times. Great, love it. This book, not gonna bullshit you. I read maybe a quarter of it, then stopped caring. This book, it's about the stock market, the most important thing. Be honest with you, read maybe 10 pages of it and stopped caring, right? Reading alone is not going to change your life. Hear me out. Certain type of people are gravitated towards reading self-help books, reading stuff, reading words on a page. For some reason, for some people they love it, some people hate it. Me, I am kind of in the middle, right? Sometimes I go through a phase where I like to read. Reading makes obtaining the knowledge that you're seeking a little bit more engaging, so therefore you retain it a little better. Does that make sense? When you watch a YouTube video or when you watch content in video format, you tend to get distracted by your phone, by something that pulls your attention away just for a brief second. You go back to watching that video, you might have missed a key point. Could have been 5 seconds, but that 5 seconds could have tied together the video into a way where you can articulate it in your brain well enough to understand that topic or concept. Reading alone is not going to make you rich. You can read all the books you want. If you do not take action on what you're reading and incorporating that into your life in a way to where it's applicable to you, then it will not make you rich. It will not help you towards your goals. It doesn't even have to be being rich. It could be any goal that you have and you're trying to figure out or learn information about that goal. If you're reading a book and then going to the next book and then to the next book and to the next book, you are fulfilling your habitual craving for dopamine, and that is it. You are not learning the concepts in the book, because if you were learning them, you would apply them to your life. For example, if I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and then do nothing that he talks about where you use assets, or you at least learn how assets buy you the things that you want, your luxuries, instead of working your hours for an income, then taking that income to buy your luxuries, you buy an asset that generates an income, then you use that income to buy an asset or a luxury, so that that luxury essentially costs no money. It costs money, but you're not using your time to make money to then buy that luxury, essentially. Now, I read that book multiple times, right? If I'm gonna read a book, I'm going to take it for what it's worth and try to dissect and squeeze out all the information that I can get from that book before I go on to the next one. So reading alone will not make you rich. It is important to learn and understand this concept, because a lot of people think that I'm trying so hard, if I just read and read and read, then eventually one day, poof, I'll have $1 million in my bank account and I'll be great and life will just be fantastic. But if you do not take action, if you do not actionably take steps towards that goal and you're just reading, you are fulfilling the craving of dopamine that you want, that makes you feel as if you're accomplishing something. Hey, I'm not innocent. I'm guilty of this too. I'm just calling it how it is. So, reading will not make you rich if you do not take what you are learning and use the thing you're learning. You're talking to an active procrastinator that I've procrastinated my whole life. You know, I wait till the last minute for everything. I always have. I always probably will. And the thrill of getting it done at the last minute makes it me able to focus on what I'm trying to learn. Now, reading is an indulgence. It's entertainment. It's entertainment that is more focused, and in a way you have to use your imagination a little bit more to grasp the concepts that the words are telling you. You have to put it together, you have to articulate it, versus like a film or a video that you're watching someone articulate the point for you. You have to create it in your mind. You have to create the image in your mind as you're reading it, and then being so engaged that you retain what you're reading. Reading is fun. Who doesn't like sitting back and reading a book that you're really into after a long day of work or whatever's going on in your life, and you sit back, you can relax and read. Maybe if you're kind of like a serial reader like I am, where it's like you go through like phases. I don't know how you would say that, but essentially I tend to go through phases where I don't read at all for like, I don't know, a year or like 6 months. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'll just randomly remember something about a book, and then I'll go grab that same book because I tend to like reading the same literature over again so that I can fully grasp the concepts and incorporate it. So I will grab that book and I'll find a spot in it that I remember or whatever, and then I'll just start reading it. And then before you know it, I tend to like, if I get interested in the book, if it's a book I already read, then I know I'll probably be interested in it because I might get something the second or third time that I read it. Anyways, I'll notice that I'll start reading the first page, and then all of a sudden I'm freaking 30 pages in, and then before you know it, all I can think about is finishing the book and milking out and squeezing out every ounce of knowledge that I can from that book. It happened a lot to me with Atomic Habits and Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now, entertainment books as a whole, I mean, like I'm saying, like if you're already working towards your goals and you're making strides in whatever goals that you have, then who am I to say that you shouldn't read? But if you are reading in hopes to progress towards your goals and then not utilizing the information you're learning and putting it into practical use in your life, then you're wasting your time, right? You're just active procrastinating. You're doing something that is arbitrarily harder than just consuming content on the computer or your phone, but you are not taking the resource from that book and incorporating it into your life into a way that you can use it to better yourself. Reading will not make you rich if you do not use the information you are reading into your life. And I'm not saying like, oh, well, Rich Dad Poor Dad says I bought a facility or a storage unit or whatever, and then it 3x, so 100 grand turned into 300 grand. Then I sold it with a 1031 exchange and didn't pay taxes on the gains because I just bought a different property that was of equal value, and then that appreciated to $1 million. I'm not saying that you have to do all that. I'm just saying that like you have to actively be trying to learn more about that topic. Like you can't just like you go surface level and then go on to something else and then learn the surface level and then go on to something else and then learn the surface level. It's good for a broad sense of knowledge, just general knowledge, common sense, whatever. But actually becoming really knowledgeable in one thing, or like maybe like a set ecosystem of things, like maybe like your 3 things that you're just really, really good at, and then maybe a broad sense of everything else. If you just bounce around and you have like 20 different like things that you're good at, or that you're knowledgeable, like surface level knowledgeable in, then you're not going to become a master at that one thing, or that ecosystem of things that could bring you money or whatever your goal is. And that goes to like if you binge read books about relationships and learn about attachment types and then hyper analyze the attachment types, and then don't actually like learn the fundamentals of those traumas and how to work around them. If you just learn what attachment types are, you're just going to sit there, yep, that's that, yep, that's that, yep, that's that, and then you're just going to be alone or whatever you do. So you need to take the information, the surface level information, collectively learn upon that information deeper, so that you can actually so that you're so good that you can explain the concepts to someone else so that they can understand it. You can articulate it in a way to where they can understand it. Like if you're teaching it to a 5th grader. Went on a little tangent there. Books are great. They're just not the end all be all of a successful person. You know, if you hear someone say, "Oh, I read," right? On the surface, you're like, "Oh, wow, cool. He read 100 books, or she read 100 books. That's pretty cool. That's inspiring. They're probably going to be successful." That's not necessarily true, because they could read those books for fun, for entertainment, no matter how many self-help books they read, and it does not matter, right? Books are great. See, here's my collection right now. Books are great. Love them. Let me see them. See, books, cool, right? This one, haven't read yet. Not gonna bullshit you. Haven't read it yet. Okay. This book, read it a lot of times. Great. Atomic Habits, I took off the cover, read it a lot of times. Great. Love it. This book, not gonna bullshit you. I read maybe a quarter of it, then stopped caring. This book, it's about the stock market, the most important thing. Be honest with you, read maybe 10 pages of it and stopped caring. Right? You cannot read your way to success. You need to be thoughtful and articulate in what you are doing. Like, you have to take actionable steps towards your goals. And just reading is not good enough. You have to read and do what you're learning. I hope this makes sense. I hope this motivates you and elevates your drive to take action. The whole concept of all the things, the videos that I think I make is to explain what was so difficult for me. It was difficult for me to take action. And I want to make it easier for other people as I start taking action. I'm taking action. I'm understanding, I'm opening the veil of the bullshit that society tells us, and the ideas and the concepts of why we are less than, or that we can't do something. And then I'm trying to articulate it to you guys so that you understand that that is a cultural construct, and that you literally can just take action and start doing, instead of being held back in this idea that you can't, because you can. So read a book, learn from the book, take action on the stuff that you're learning, and you got this. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.